What in the name of reality TV is going on here? Hold on, did we just hear that Jim Jones' son was jailed once more? This time, the controversy isn't your typical one. It's a love and hip-hop level chaos. You didn't think it could be much more bizarre after the catastrophe that has been Jim's family drama, don't you? You thought things would calm down after the innumerable back and forth, but this is all too true. Then the arrests and scandals, but alas, just when you thought the Jones family couldn't be further rattled, another bombshell hits. This time, it's a son involved in a disaster so dreadful that even Mama Scott is making headlines, not Jim. Young couldn't have planned it. You won't believe the latest twist that has been revealed. Why was he arrested? And what does this signify for the entire Love and Hip Hop franchise? Is this a failed marketing stunt or something? Stay tuned because what you're about to hear will make you doubt everything. So Jim Jones' son has just laid the stage for a much deeper fall from grace that might rock the reality TV world to its foundation. If you thought this family was all about music and reality TV drama, you're in for a nightmare when one of the most shocking scandals in hip-hop and love history takes place. Known for his volatile public demeanor, Jim Jones is now dealing with the fallout from a legacy he left behind. His son, Otis' son, has now brought things to a whole new level of calamity. Imagine this right when Jim's as if his son was about to emerge from the shadow of his notorious father's reputation, he has been drawn into a controversy so sinister that it may alter everything, including an arrest for illegal drugs and a tumultuous run-in with the law. Love and hip-hop rocked again, Jim Jones' son arrested. This isn't a joke or simply a headline. It's the actual thing, and Jim Jones' son isn't just another reality TV star. The world is watching every moment of his current condition, and he is a walking disaster. Let's take a moment to realize how serious his situation is. Jim Jones has always been the person who pushed limits, whether it was his. He's the one who started arguments, got into fights, created enemies, and proudly donned the flag of controversy either through his gritty street demeanor or his loud public confrontations. But let's be clear that he is not the only one who has been living under Jim likely tried to shield his kid from the mayhem, but it appears that he has fallen into the same problem. The truth is worse than anyone could have predicted, so let's take a moment to go back a few years. Fans were actually beginning to cheer for Jim's son a few weeks ago as he appeared to be living his best life on Instagram, establishing his own image and attempting to escape the shadow of his father's fame. The same young man is now facing criminal accusations, and believe me, this is not some minor arrest. This is a major controversy that has been leaked. It's chaotic, and it's the kind of story that shows that life isn't always as it seems. Let's get into the specifics. Jim's son reportedly has been growing far too accustomed to his newfound reality TV, which is going to make you reevaluate everything you believed you knew about this family. Reputation. Insiders claim that he had engaged in some very questionable activities that nobody could have foreseen. We're talking about drug use, probably some shady business dealings, and a crazy night out that evolved into something far more sinister than anybody had imagined. It wasn't a small incident. Rather, it was a major catastrophe, and worse, his activities weren't simply his own. He was allegedly using his father's name to hide complaints. Began to circulate that Jim's kid had engaged in some unlawful activity, and not simply the kind of misdeeds you can get away with. According to the police reports from that evening, this was a deliberate action. The bombshell truths that will leave you speechless have been leaked. Jim's son was caught red-handed in a scenario that no one, especially a reality TV star, should ever find themselves in. We're talking about There was a brawl with police officers that got so out of control that it was captured on several cameras, but the drama doesn't end there. According to sources, when the police attempted to calm him down, things got worse, by which I mean that Jim's, according to reports, the son began yelling profanity, demanding special treatment, and invoking his father's name as if it were some sort of get-out-of-jail-free card. It seemed like a scenario from a reality TV show with a script, but it was real life, and on top of that, police discovered that he was in possession of illegal narcotics. This led to a full-fledged scandal, and let's be honest, nobody anticipated this, least of all Jim's kid. It's difficult to even comprehend that Jim Jones is meant to be this legend and this symbol. But here we are, people are trying to make sense of what happened. Of success to serve as an example for his son. But in actuality, Jim has always straddled the line between being a bad boy and being an outright troublemaker. So what does that make his son the same thing, or worse? The internet is exploding with fans' reactions to the news are shocking. But let's face it, they're also kind of enjoying the drama. Because let's face it, that's what we live for these days. Scandal, controversy, chaos. People that love the mess but hate the truth that it's coming from someone they believe could have saved it. It's almost as if we can't stop wanting to see these famous people fail. And Jim Jones' son is currently jumping in front of millions of individuals. And let's not even discuss the family dynamic. Jim's son was allegedly upset following the arrest, saying that his father had failed to come to his aid. Can you believe that this is the same Jim Jones who has been a regular on television? And further layer to this catastrophe is that his son is physically freaking out because his father failed to come to his aid, which raises the question of whether this is a result of Jim's now that we are parents. We must carefully consider what legacy Jim is leaving his son, one of self-destruction or redemption, because the only thing that is expanding at the moment is the list of the Jones name has been linked to controversies. And to make matters worse, we have heard from sources that Jim has been actively involved in hiding some of his son's behavior. It appears that this family is on the verge of collapse, and nobody is coming to their aid, but there's more to the tale than that. Believe me, what comes next is even more bizarre than what we've just discovered. In a moment, we'll delve deeper into the consequences of this arrest. As the news of Jim Jones' son's arrest spread like wildfire, it soon became evident that this wasn't simply another case of public outrage and the possible legal repercussions that are directly coming toward Jim and his son. When you're dealing with the child of one of the most infamous people in the hip-hop industry, you're dealing with something far more serious, dangerous, and dare we say it, explosive. In addition to dealing with the guy, you're also dealing with a legacy, a brand, and a name that is highly influential in the industry. Despite his success, Jim Jones isn't exactly regarded as the most law-abiding citizen. Every time you look around, there seems to be another headline about him or his group, the diplomats causing mayhem in one place, or his colorful past, his history of notoriety, and his public conflicts with police authorities. Anyway, but what happens when that same behavior carries over to the next generation? That's exactly what happened here, and believe me, things are going to get much worse. Jim Jones' son, a little-known person up until now, has been connected to a variety of street rumors and whispers for years, but this arrest served as the impetus for those stories to escalate into something far more serious. According to sources on the scene, Jim's son was deeply engaged in the street activities that have plagued the hip-hop scene for years. He is rumored to have been combining work and pleasure by hanging out with the wrong set and engaging in gang-related activities that would make even the toughest rapper reconsider. And the arrest itself, well, it wasn't a straightforward miscommunication at all. According to police leaks, was the result of Jim Jones' son being caught red-handed in the midst of a highly unlawful scheme. The specifics are disturbing, as eyewitnesses describe him as the ringleader of a group that was allegedly selling in narcotics and firearms using the pandemonium of the hip-hop industry as a cover. That was disguised as a straightforward family get-together. The kicker is that Jim Jones, the so-called hip-hop legend, wasn't far behind. According to our sources, Jim was present at the scene of the arrest and watched in shock as his operations took place. Is this the legacy Jim Jones hoped to create? Everyone was shocked to learn that the guy who had always presented himself as his family's best protector was suddenly powerless to stop his own flesh and from being dragged through the dirt while his kid was handcuffed and taken away. To begin with, there were speculations that Jim was upset about the arrest. According to some insiders, Jim was angry not at his son for being arrested, but at the media for having the audacity to portray his family negatively. Jim Jones may be more engaged than he admits, according to some, since his family has a history of trouble. This was all part of a larger conspiracy that gained momentum swiftly. And street credibility, what distinguishes being honest from going too far, according to people in the know? Jim has always had a darker side that has been concealed beneath outside facades of achievement and notoriety, the sort of gloom that might have filtered down to his son. Now, let's discuss the arrest itself. Eyewitnesses who were on the scene have described chaos, but it wasn't just the police that caused. This high-stakes drama was witnessed by fans, media representatives, and even other members of the hip-hop community. Soon after, social media was flooded with first-hand reports of, as per an unnamed source, Jim's son attempted to use his father's name as leverage, asserting that he could avoid incarceration due to his father's identity. His tone was almost sarcastic. His claim statement, "Do you know who my dad is? I can't go down like this," could have been an act of arrogance, or perhaps it was simply the naive confidence that comes from growing up in a society where you are exempt from the regulations. But what does all of this imply for Jim Jones? In terms of his career, legacy, and public image, let's just say that things aren't looking good, even with the rumors, whispers, and street chatter. Jim Jones' most devoted followers are beginning to wonder if his son is just carrying on his father's legacy, or if this is a case of generational failure where the father's transgressions are perpetuated. The fact that this arrest occurred during a season of hip-hop and romance just increased the gravity of the repercussions, which is unavoidable and will grow much worse before it gets any better. Given that we know Love and Hip, the show's producers rushed right in, issuing a statement expressing their disappointment at the occurrence, but declining to comment on whether it will have an impact on the show's forthcoming season. One thing is certain, the show's ratings are going to soar, but at what cost? Speaking of the show, sources say the producers were unprepared for the kind of drama that even they were expecting. Undoubtedly, this occurrence will play a significant role in upcoming episodes, but everyone is already rushing to figure out how to include this startling twist into their plot. The question that everyone has is how will fans are eagerly anticipating answers, and the producers are aware that they have a sensitive situation on their hands. Will Jim's son grow up to be the next villain on the show, or is this his redemption arc? Even if the accusations against his son prove to be unfounded or fabricated, the harm to the family's reputation has already been done. So what does this imply for Jim Jones personally? Jim has spent his entire career as the bad boy of hip-hop, but it appears that he may be dealing with a problem that neither fame nor wealth can resolve. The family conflict is leaking into the public eye, and there is no way to conceal it. But as the days go by, the public's outcry grows stronger. They want the truth, answers, and to know how far the controversy will go. Will Jim Jones support his son, or will he sever relations to safeguard his career? When things get bad, only time will tell if his devoted followers will support him or turn their backs on him. However, one thing is certain, the inferno that Jim Jones' son's arrest sparked is far from finished, and every one fresh revelation, things are going to grow much more combustible by now. The narrative has gone haywire, and the public's outrage has reached a fever pitch as more information about Jim Jones' son's imprisonment begins to surface. Is intensifying. This is no longer simply a simple arrest. It's the collapse of an entire enterprise, and the effects are already being felt outside of the Jim Jones family and the music industry. Could this controversy have legal repercussions? Repercussions that we haven't yet started to imagine. Let's examine the response in more detail first. First, we must discuss the suspicions that there may be legal ramifications. There are rumors coming from anonymous sources close to Jim's son's family may be facing severe charges, not just an arrest, but accusations that may bring down a whole network of individuals. The public is unable to determine whether this is all a setup or whether there is a broader conspiracy at work. Reports from trustworthy anonymous insiders have stated that Jim has been under pressure, and some believe that this might be the start of the end for his empire. He could lose everything, including his music, brand, and authority. Investigation for numerous other dubious activities for months, many of which may have been connected to his son's behavior. In fact, according to insiders, Jim Jones may be at the heart of criminal activity that extends well beyond street connections. The film industry and the music industry are no strangers to scandals, but the real stunner is about to happen. Might Jim Jones himself be the subject of investigations? Might his commercial empire be based on a legacy of? His street cred and tough guy persona are being threatened by federal investigators. He has been linked to drug trafficking and money laundering, and his son's detention has brought attention to let's be honest for a moment. This is about more than simply Jim Jones. It's about the basic roots of the hip-hop industry. If Jim is involved in anything, you best believe that this won't be ignored. The entire entertainment industry will be rocked by it. Rumors about partnerships with dubious people, underground transactions, and filthy money have always circulated within the hip-hop culture. Might this be the time? When the truth is revealed, will everything fall apart like so many other well-known families did before them? If it is, there may be severe legal repercussions, and the probe may turn into a full-scale scandal with. Governmental organizations are investigating everything from tax evasion to foreign links, but the public may demand answers due to the family's participation, and Jim and his son may be asked to clarify the extent of this rabbit hole runs on while Jim's son, in spite of the criminal accusations, has been oddly silent. What is his side of the story? Is he being kept silent by someone more powerful, or is there a portion of the story that we simply don't yet know? He knows something that he isn't disclosing. Could this entire situation be a part of a bigger scheme planned by someone with even more authority? These concerns remain unanswered, and the tension is growing as social media is ablaze. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and the internet are rife with hypotheses, rumors, and accusations about what's actually happening. Both fans and critics are analyzing every piece of the story, with some claiming Jim has already started to distance himself from the matter, while some think he's preparing for a public confrontation that will be both nasty and amusing. However, the real question is if Jim is going to turn on his own son. Be a public betrayal imminent, or will he fight back and reveal all those behind the scenes? This is revolutionary in an era of immediate access to information. Nothing stays the same. People are unearthing long-forgotten interviews, deleted social media posts, and dubious relationships that could connect Jim Jones and his son to some of the most sinister facets of the entertainment industry. Now that mainstream media is. As more stories come in from those enigmatic anonymous sources, we can only speculate as to how far this story will go, but the big question is, are we just getting started? Could there be even more disclosures coming? Gaining more insight into the fact that the controversy is rooted in a far larger web of deception, manipulation, and lies than anyone first thought, all of which are linked to the Jones family. When everything they've worked so hard to build suddenly collapses, what will happen to Jim Jones, his son, and the millions of supporters who have stood by them for years? How far will the impact affect Jim's family? Time will tell if Jim will lose his family, his job, and everything he has worked for. But for now, the world is either forced to face the reality about his role in this catastrophe, or someone else will take the fall for him. As you watch for the next part in this explosive story to come to light, you can bet that the entertainment business as a whole and the hip-hop scene will never be the same following the controversy. You have it, the startling disclosures, the incredible turns, and the disintegration of Jim Jones' world in front of our eyes. But the question still stands. Nothing could be more bizarre than the genuine truth, which could be around the corner. You won't want to miss what's going to happen next since the truth is out. Is this just the beginning of the narrative, or may we be about to witness even more widespread scandals? And we're coming closer to revealing everything piece by piece. So what do you think? Do you think Jim Jones has been concealing even more deadly secrets? Is his kid a victim of this mess, or is there something more sinister at play? What is next for the Jones family, and who will survive? Share your ideas, hypotheses, and opinions in the comments section below. We'd love to hear from you. The internet has been ablaze with rumors. Now it's time for you to weigh in. Are you prepared? to discover the startling facts prior to. Does anyone else remember to hit that like button if you continue to be astounded by what's disclosed, and sign up for additional crazy viral tales that shatter the you don't want to use the internet, I promise. Miss the upcoming spectacular upgrade, and if you still haven't destroyed the notification bell to ensure you are the first to help determine when the next chapter will be released. Stay tuned for this stunning scandal, because we have only just begun.